We have Troy Baker, who now joins us on 365 Sports. Hey, man, thanks for your time. Sorry about the technical issues, but what does this weekend mean to you? We've had Bryce Petty. We had Jordan Niver. We've tried to kind of bring on some guys that we remember. A lot of others coming back. What does this weekend mean to you?
Oh, it's going to be great. Can you hear me now? Are we good?
Yep, we got it. Yep, we got it.
Okay, perfect. Appreciate it. Sorry about that, guys. We feel welcome back for it's been a decade, which is crazy. It's been fun, the excitement. I mean, personally, I actually had, funny enough, I've become a little bit of a hockey fan. I live up here in Dallas, so I'm a big Stars fan. And the day before this was first announced, the Stars put tickets on sale to go to Finland and play this weekend against the Florida Panthers. And I had bought tickets for it. And then this came out, and I said, there's no chance that I can miss this, just given the opportunity to get so many of the team together and all the effort put in by the current administration staff to welcome us back with open arms. And they're doing it upright. It's going to be a first-class weekend. And just having the buzz of, more than anything, all the group chats going off with all the guys and the former players of all of us just catching up. And I'm excited. It's going to be great for so many reasons.
Can Baylor recapture the magic of 61-58, Troy? The TCU rivalry has been very one-sided since you guys left, really.
It has been. The thing that's also, timing's working out great. This team's figuring out their identity. They're walking around with a little bit of swagger. They're playing with some belief and confidence now. I think it's just kind of it's obvious to see. There was some, I think, back to Utah, the end of the Colorado game. And now the last couple of weeks building that momentum. And so I think that it's a perfect timing for us to come back in, because it's going to be a great atmosphere. I know that there's a lot of excitement, and rightfully so, around the blackout and the atmosphere and the uniforms and whatnot. But it should be to the point where I expect there's going to be a quality game. Obviously, TCU's kind of wild with how many points they put up this year, and kind of sporadic. We've got an offensive coordinator up there who knows how to put up points, that's for sure. So it's going to be fun to watch, and we're looking forward to it.
Troy, I'm curious if you've watched the O-line, all that intently, if there's anything you could share with us on what you see from a group that, it's a hodgepodge of young guys, and then there's transfers. And I know you guys had new guys that would come into the fold, but it really is unique and a little bit different now, and just how many interchangeable parts there can be from one year to the next. And especially with a group like that, I mean, gelling is so important, right? So have you seen that gelling going on, and just kind of what have you picked up as they started to have some bigger offensive performances?
Yeah, it's I can't even imagine how different it is now with the portal, to your point. I mean, I'm thinking back, we probably had maybe one transfer a year, and now I know it's not even that's not even close to the number that it is. Most importantly, I know last year with the different offensive scheme, with the different offensive coaching staff, that probably, obviously you have a spring ball with the new offensive coordinator and O-line coach and everything, but combine that spring ball being the first time in the offense in the playbook, with the recruiting that happened over the summer, with that gelling, all of those things took some time. And I think that's kind of that definitely played a part to it. I think it looks like a cohesive unit right now. They are playing confident. They are playing together. Those things go a long way, to your point. And most importantly, I think what also took a little bit of time for the team to accelerate on is that they obviously were building an identity from an offensive standpoint around a specific quarterback coming in, and then at midseason went a different direction with Sawyer, and his confidence is very clear in how he plays and how he presents himself, and it's exuding to the guys up front. And now they're having some fun. And all of those things, it's a snowball effect from momentum compounding in the right direction right now.
Do you feel like the position of offensive line, which is all about cohesion and chemistry and like knowing who's right hand, left hand, what does that position not suffer, but is that the more complicated one when you have moving parts like the transfer portal now?
It probably is, and I'm using my own experience as I think about how to answer that best, Smoke. You go back to what we experienced for the 5 years I was there, from 2010 to 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I think in 2010, I think it was the same 5 guys all year. I think 2011 there was maybe 1 or 2 games with a different guard combination. 2012 it was the same 5 guys all year. 13 we got banged up. 14 I got banged up and caused the mix. But those things, like that, combined with the continuity of Coach Clements at the time and our entire office staff and offensive staff, like it made the world of difference from a development perspective. Expectations were clear. We knew what we had to do, and everybody talks about the passing game with our old offenses, but y'all remember it was all about the run game with us. I think in 2012 we led the Big 12 in rushing yards, if I'm not mistaken. And so, like, just thinking about every year, like on average, 3 if not 4 of the 5 guys being new, it's insane to think about from a lack of cohesiveness. So you have to put extra time into that to make sure that you're, from a leadership perspective, those guys in the locker room, I'm sure, and I'm speaking on the outside end, of course, so, but they obviously have had to focus on that and building their own identity and their own unit. So I think it's probably knowing the mental aspect of the game too is definitely a heavy impact, if not the highest impact, to your point.
Troy, do you think that you guys in 2013, because, like, I mean, obviously the way that you finished 2012, where that season in the early part was not good. You guys were just all over the map and couldn't really put anything together. And then after you lost at Iowa State, it's like a light came on and you guys charged through, on through 13 and all of that. Do you think that at least for a little while early in the season, even though you guys were blowing people out, that teams were waiting for the other shoe to drop and it just never did?
Yes, the 2012 one, I continued, like, you think about it, to your point, there's building blocks of that entire time frame of Baylor's football history. 2010, you get back to the bowl game. 2011, RG3. And then in 2012, we were finding, kind of like I said about this year's 2014, we were searching for our identity post RG3 of who we were as a football team and how we were going to go find ways to win football games. We had that game. It was a home game against Kansas. I think it was homecoming. I think Cyril was actually suspended the first half of it, if I remember correctly. And then the week after that, we went to Norman, and this is 2012, and we lost that game in Norman. But if you go back and watch that, there was 2 deep balls that Nick threw to Tevin Reese that, because of the wind, just barely, like, you could see them change direction at the last second, and we didn't connect on them, and just at pivotal times in the game. And then I remember there was a 15 to 18 play drive that we had as an offense on that, and I vividly remember the next day, Sunday film, Clem's showing us the film, and we're breaking down, and it was the first time we all kind of said, this is what this could look like. And we had that, again, talking about that long drive of success and getting that touchdown, and then also those balls that we were so close on connecting with Tevin Reese with Nick. And one of them was for sure Tevin. Another one might have been teed up at the time. But that's when it all changed. And then we go into practice that week, leave Oklahoma, we go into K-State the next week, and I think we ripped off 5 in a row then, because it was K-State, Tech, Oklahoma State, and then the bowl game, so maybe 4. And then after that, so UCLA bowl game. And then after that, it just all clicked and we figured it out, to your point.
What is your favorite Baylor TCU memory?
Oh, God. You're not, I was going to make a joke about a YouTube video with Coach Cobb on it. But
No, don't go there.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Hey, that counts. I mean,
No, that is that can be it.
No, it's not. I mean, you're not going to beat 14. It's special. It really is. It's special to watch back for so many reasons. Like that team, if you look back, I think that was game 6 that year. And coming into that year, I think 45-0 SMU first game, Bryce gets hurt. Everybody's got a question mark going into game 2. Seth comes in, lights it up. I think he threw for like 5 touchdowns. I think the more interesting thing about that season is, so we had that big year before that ended poorly in the Fiesta Bowl. And then we had three games in 12 days. Because I'm pretty sure we did Sunday SMU, Saturday Northwestern State, Friday Buffalo at Buffalo. And so it was a smooth year because we were putting up points, but like we still weren't playing clean. We weren't happy. I think we went up to Iowa State and won, and then we went down to Texas, and I think we beat them 28-7 and kind of played a different brand. We ran the ball really well the second half against Texas. So I just kind of all that to say, like coming into that TCU game, you know, they were a good football team that year, and they showed that entire year, including their bowl game that year. That being the first year of that stadium too, with coming off a championship, and then that game resulting in not saving our ass, but it earned our ass the championship, the second one, because if we didn't win that, then TCU's outright champs at the end of the year. It's got to be that one. 13 though is a very underrated piece of the story. You know, 11 everybody knows because it was the opener where RG3 goes on the scene, but 13, that was a grimy, ugly win. We were banged up. That was right after the Oklahoma State loss. So, you know, everybody felt like the national championship hosts were done. That was the last year of the old national championship style, the BCS. Golly, that list of injuries, if you look back on it, Spencer Drango was out with his back. Tevin Reese was hurt, I believe, with the wrist, might have just come back. I think Lake and Hager were out. Like we were banged up. And so that 13-1 was probably more gutsy in the sense of even having to figure it out, even though TCU wasn't as good in 13 as they were in 14. So they're both special, but yeah, you're not going to be 61-58. So that was a long answer for a short purpose.
Is there any of, and obviously the 14 Cotton Bowl, the way that ended was a nightmare. The Fiesta Bowl was, I don't know if you, as a team overall, that everybody was focused, but you could correct me if I'm wrong, and you had the bad start. And UCF was really good. Do you ever have a what-if moment when it comes to 2014? Not only the college playoff, but also just the way that all ended?
Yeah. I've got a 2 what-if moments. The personal what-if, if my ACL decides to stay intact up in Morgantown, that would have been nice. And then the second, from a team perspective, to your point, because that's the game we lost in the regular season in 14.
Yep.
And by no means was me going down the reason for that. But I would have liked to be able to contribute that second half. I think it was third quarter when I went down. From a team perspective, Oklahoma State in 13 and then West Virginia in 14, you kind of hit on something. Maybe you've heard some stories. We had a little bit of fun in Scottsdale in 2013 for the Fiesta Bowl.
Oh, we know.
Yeah. So
Troy, we were in your hotel. There was like I'll tell you this. I won't name any names, but you'll know who they are. So it was late. There was a media party over at another hotel, like the media hotel, for New Year's. And so we got back. It was probably 10:45 local time, and I had a bit of a headache, and we needed some stuff in the morning. So I went down to the little sundry store. It was probably like 12:15 or so at that time, and Lackey was down there getting like some treatment on his shoulder, some of his ribs or something, for an injury he had, so he could go to sleep. And then when I'm sitting there talking to him, like, "Oh, you okay?" And then a bunch of dudes with their shirts off came walking through the lobby, and I thought, "Oh, this can't be good."
Yeah. Wait, the best thing about that though, is because you said the what if and learning lessons as we continue to grow each year. Mm-hmm. We knew we had to deal with that with the coaching staff. that January, those of us that were coming back in 14. And so the leadership group in 14, we took that very seriously going into the Cotton Bowl, which probably makes the Cotton Bowl comeback loss sting even more, is because we were on lockdown as a team with our focus. And I'm saying we, obviously didn't play given the knee and everything, but we were up at the Gaylord up in Grapevine, and we took it very seriously. So I don't know. I think it was kind of a perfect storm for us walking into Morgantown in 14 against us. We had the TCU game was the week before. Mm-hmm. We fly East Coast. It was a 12 a.m. kick. They had a good scheme. I remembered immediately we had to start making changes on what we were doing in the run game. And it wasn't like it was a blowout like it was in 12 when we went up there, and it was Gino and Tavon dropping bombs all over us. The 14 one is the what if moment, to answer your original question, both the personal what if and the team what if, because that team, you saw what happened. What was it? Ohio State finished fourth in playoff first year, right? And they ended up winning it. That was the year. So,
yep. Zeke and all those guys,
Yep.
So,
yeah, we're going to have to get you on again, Troy, at some point and get into some like the West Virginia game and like some of these, like the more details, because there is a lot of stories on I feel like, too, with the Fiesta Bowl, and you can correct me, like, yeah, you guys were having your fun because it was like the first time and all this, but there was also all the rumors about Art in Texas, right? Did that like infiltrate to y'all's, mindset at all during that time period? Because certainly outside of y'all's walls, that was all that was being talked about, more so than the game by far.
I think at the time my answer consciously would have been no. We weren't really worried about it. We weren't thinking about it. Looking back on it now and understanding the difference with unconscious bias and everything, it probably played a factor on us, whether we realized it did or didn't, to your point. It's interesting to look back and think on from everything that happened across those years, because they were full of different peaks and valleys.
For sure. And who knew that UCF would be in the Big 12 like 20 or 10 years later, whatever it was. I'm going way too far. 10 years later. But I did want to ask you, you mentioned the torn ACL, so I don't know what the answer will be here. Are you running the Baylor line on Saturday?
Yeah, there's a 0% chance that I'd like to leave another ACL on the football field. I've had two of them. If we want one of them's over on the practice field from spring of 13, and the other one's still in Morgantown. And I tell people to this day, you won't catch me back in Morgantown. I don't have any reason to go back to that town.
Fair enough.
Troy, both Bryce Petty and Jordan Iver told us that you were going to be running it. So they've been trying
there's some misinformation.
No, they've been trying to spread some rumors so that they trick you into doing it. So I appreciate you standing up to the bullies that Niver and Petty are.
Yeah, well, the quarterback and the tight, are they running it? It's also going to be interesting.
No. Bryce had the response of the week when Craig asked him, and he said, "No, I've already had my one trip in my lifetime."
Ooh.
Yeah.
Was that his what if moment for 13?
And still, I think it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It
was cold. It was a cold night. It was a weird night. Y'all know it's weird up there in Stillwater. It's just a weird place. No, I'm going to be interested to see who does that, because as y'all know, with offensive linemen, some go one way, some go a different direction, and with players in general, and see who's been taking care of themselves. So who took that part seriously from Coach Cos, and that's what strength staff.
So last thing, you have this tomorrow night. There's a big get-together. There's a luncheon on Friday. There's a tailgating sometime Saturday, and then, of course, the game that night when you guys will be recognized. I asked what it all means. You have been someone who's been trying to also put things together, right, to make sure that everybody's involved wherever you might be.
Yeah, it makes me feel I'm very thankful, first and foremost. I'm thankful for the time that I had. It was a life-changing. I ended up spending 6 years there as I finished grad school. But life-changing 5 years on the program, with the team, with my teammates, with the coaches, with the entire staff. it was so formative for me as a human being. It was challenging. I don't think I can ever get challenged more physically, both from a building and strength stuff perspective, but also tearing my body down for surgery multiple times and building it back up and go play again. So I look back on that time and I know how much it changed my life, being around who I was around there. Like I said, both team and coaches. So I'm just excited. You know, it's hard. You know, as I'm probably preaching the choir. Everybody knows it's tough as everybody gets older. It's tough to stay in touch. We've tried to, I think 2 years ago, Cam Caulfield, Spencer, Cyril, and myself all went, which is 4 of the 5 of the 2012 O-line, excluding Ivory Wade. We all went up to North Texas for a game and saw Clements and Coach Bennett, and there was I think Gush was up there, Coach Bennett's son. There was a bunch up at UNT at the time, and that just for a day, and we just went to the UNT game, and that was so special. So whenever the administration, the current Baylor administration, and everything got behind this celebration and this weekend and everything they're doing for it, like I said, I wasn't going to miss it for anything. So it is special, and I do like publicly Joe Vaughn and Coach Wetzel and Coach Aranda. It's hard, as everybody knows, to put on formal events like this. Like you said, at least 2 events tomorrow and then everything on Saturday. And they have done an incredible job of making us feel welcome back and doing everything they can to put a first-class weekend on. And it's not lost on us. And we appreciate the welcome back, because we're excited to see not only each other, but just kind of the stadium that for the most, like, we all helped build. And so it's a special weekend, and not to get emotional on it, but it'll be, I'm thankful and I'm very grateful for everything about my time there.
I got goosebumps when you started going down that last few seconds, because you're right. We take a lot of this for granted. We get to go watch the games, et cetera, but you're coming back to a place that was home, that you did help build. And RG3 and Terrence Williams in Oklahoma, but you were a part of the foundation that helped launch the money that helped build that stadium. That's got to be awesome.
It is. It's special. And we've got the key point of the weekend is that, what is it, the North End Zone, where it's got 3 years up there now, 13, 14, and 21, Big 12 champions. So that's special. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Troy, we'll see you. We'll try to see if we can. I know you guys have a lot going on. The luncheon and the various things, the get-together, I guess, for tailgating on Saturday. But hope to get a chance to say hi, see you sometime at the stadium. It's going to be crazy and hectic. Thank you very much for your time, man. We always love covering you, and it's great to hear you and see you again.
Likewise. Appreciate you all, and take care. I'll see you Saturday.
Troy Baker, former Baylor offensive lineman, and one of the dudes that was part of the leadership. Cam Caulfield, he mentioned him, and many of the other great linemen that blossomed under Randy Clements at Baylor.